look like there's anything.
Which one do you want?
Are you really?
I think it's cherry.
Yeah.
No, it's just the surgery.
Cheese. Yeah. But it is. If that was the case, then we wouldn't come back here asking for additional. Right? They wouldn't have to. If it had already been presented to them.
Which one do you want? You sure? Ooh, there's willpower right there.
When I get weak, that's when I go to bed and watching TV. And it's like, I get out of bed and head to the kitchen and Sue goes, "Where are you going?"
If that was the case, they wouldn't be in front of us.
How are you going to lose weight?
I'll worry about it tomorrow. They wouldn't have to ask us that. They could just submit a plan. This is what we do. They wouldn't ask us to approve.
She's going to be
That's what they're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
and sharp. She doesn't move.
Hey, who does? I tried to jump over a fence today and he goes, "Yeah, that was pretty impressive." I said, "I'll be feeling it tomorrow."
So, when do you think you'll be able to get this track?
Probably a couple weeks, at least 2 weeks. Call me if you, okay?
It's just that once it starts to be phenomenal, I'm going to be easy. That's all.
Okay.
This is them with their attorney. And based on some of the feedback from the residents that we've gotten, can we demand they clean up what they've got before anything else? I don't either.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, sir. A little wet out there today.
A little bit, what? A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Whoa, yes. I wish they'd make this grapefruit.
I know. I know.
I like the grapefruit. These are good though. These are. Do I have to look at it?
It's their proposal. We'll see it up on the screen. It'll be up on the screen.
Need some guys. Oh yeah, I love the willpower.
Any candies?
Yeah, hey, I'll offer you some.
Not me.
Okay.
Here you go. And that's the copy of their presentation.
Chuck, we got all the same Jack. Excuse me, ma'am. Terry? Can you use the mic?
Yes.
Oh, are you gonna
Yes, sir.
Are you going to sing?
Do you want me to sing?
Hi. Hey, I'm glad you did too. I did not take it.
I had mine. I went in to get my glasses and put it down. Wiped my glasses off, and then I forgot it. They were all water spotted.
us another week before they were expecting it to get any better.
Really?
Yeah. Week from today, it's supposed to start doing one again.
Must be ready to start getting quiet. Should we play music before?
Where's my pen? I didn't use it.
Do you need, Jennifer, do you need this?
I sent it to him.
Here,
Oh, okay,
you
that's
need
fine,
it?
as long as he's got.
Oh, Greg?
No.
Sarah, do you need one? Her daughter's birthday yesterday, she turned 6.
I know, little too, baby. So, you guys will notice on this thing, he only goes up to consent judgment or to personality. So he's got some bad information.
I kind of figured
Get to laugh at his.
let's read through that.
Sorry about that. Are we all set?
Yep.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Pam, we have the roll call, please.
Sure do. Greg Carnes.
Here.
Jennifer Eden. Here. Sarah Dolman Jersey is absent. Herman Ferguson.
Here.
Dean Hawes.
Here.
Chris Rapetta.
Here.
Pam Offler. Here.
All right, moving on to the approval of tonight's agenda.
Greg, I have a comment.
Yes.
I didn't see in the communications section a request I sent to Jennifer and Pam and you, copying you regarding including in the communication a breakout of legal fees by all of the lawsuits that the township currently has. And I got no response into either of those requests to be included, since we set a precedence by including the ones, and thank you for clarifying the ones you did on the last one. But if Pam or Jennifer want to comment on why that request was ignored twice.
Sure. Jennifer,
Well, it's not my place to, but I thought you communicated with him that that would be available next meeting.
that's what the intent is to, when we get the updated bill.
Oh, that was what's, okay, that's what's gonna be on the next
When
meeting.
we get the updated invoice,
Okay.
we were gonna redo it around
Okay,
around your request
okay,
with the new stuff. So it's all
all right.
up to
Okay.
date and the latest and greatest.
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Regular board minutes for the May 6th meeting. Any corrections or changes? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve that.
We approve all of those as the
All right,
approval for
how about the
consent.
treasurer's report? You guys, everybody good with that? And the clerk?
We're not approving them. We're accepting them and
Yeah.
placing them on file.
Approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to accept?
Make a motion to accept.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, communications? We get a look those over. Did you notice the response time when the officer is on contract?
Do we have a contact, Greg, at the sheriff's office, other than the sheriff himself, or, to just inquire about these reports? I'm interested in some additional information.
Where do you get these reports from,
From the sheriff's department.
right from the department, not a particular individual? Let me,
They come from Mike, but
I think
From
you
Mike Murphy.
gotta go straight to
Go
Mark,
straight to
and then
Mark.
he'll,
Okay, that's fine.
if he doesn't know, then he'll get the right people. to
All right,
make sure.
I'll inquire with him about additional reporting.
He-
we
Well-
are contracted to give.
Right.
Thanks.
On another note, Greg, I'd kind of like to know too, I know this is Livingston County Sheriff, I'd like to know how many calls were total and how many went to the state police. Can we find out how often the state police are responding to our area?
I don't think they would have that information.
I'm not sure.
Somebody at the state police will have,
Well, state police may,
I'm
but they
asking
don't have
because
contact.
somebody commented to me that, you know, the state police are here and that they cover our area and have coverage, and so I'd like to know if they do, what it is, maybe, again, maybe not how many calls, but what their coverage is and how many officers they have in the area at what times. Just curiosity, so that I can respond to the resident who asked me about it.
So let me understand you want to know how often the state police or
Well,
what the
How
time?
many officers they have in that area and what hours?
All right,
Yeah, this report. So number of calls from 11 PM to 3.
that's the county.
That's
Well,
just-
that's us.
That's
That's just
the
This is
breakdown.
56,
Yeah,
right? So 11 PM to 3 PM when we have no one, it's 56. Right?
Do we have the same data for
Yeah,
the
but-
state police?
but
That's what the
the-
question is.
yeah, but
Oh, that could be.
it's, yeah, it could be
Yeah, you're right.
county
Yeah.
and state.
Yep.
I gotta.
I would just like a breakdown.
I gotta
So,
find, I
yeah, if
gotta
we could-
see.
That'd be nice to, just like I said, how many officers do you have in the area and at what hours?
Yeah.
Even if we could find that out, that would be helpful.
In other words, of these 56 or 67 calls, how many of them were state police and how many of them were county responded?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
And
understand.
again, how many officers and what their hours of coverage are? Do they have people here, during the day mostly, or, I mean, I see quite a few of them here, I'm just curious.
Yep.
If we get that additional information, that'd be great.
Okay,
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the communications and place on file.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, moving into public remarks on the agenda items only. Anyone? All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, all right. Oh, there's two.
You go first.
Okay.
Are we allowed to speak about Tyrone Woods right now?
Yes, those are.
Yeah, they're on the agenda.
I would like to speak about it on behalf of the residents.
Okay, make sure you speak clearly into the microphone so it's clear.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Arnold. I'm speaking for the residents of Tyrone Woods. I'm risking a lot talking about this, but I feel before they should be allowed to expand, they should fix a lot of the issues that we are all going through. They don't fix the roads. There's no plans for a playground. The bus stops are not safe. We don't have one. My kids have almost been run over a few times now. There's no place for us to park. We get lots of fines, and a lot of times when they do work on our houses, they charge us for it. They try to charge me $3,000 for my roof, and I rent. And I didn't break my roof. I didn't do anything to my roof. I've had a bathtub now that I've had work orders in for almost 5 years, and they haven't fixed it yet. And now there's a big hole in it, and the bottom's collapsing out. My neighbor has had all of her plumbing that needs to be fixed, and they're not doing anything about it. And all of our houses, like at least 90% of them, are full of mold. And it's not safe or communicable for us to live there. And I think that's all I have to say, but it's just not, I think they should fix these before they expand and put more money into something that isn't making them any money. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, in summary, Tiffany,
Yes.
Tyrone Woods, in your opinion, is a bad landlord.
Yes, terrible.
All right. Anybody else? Sure, Jeanette.
Jeanette Ropetta, Tyrone Township resident. Regarding communications, how do you account for calls that are not responded to? How about that? Because I know of at least 3. You call and they won't respond. I'd like to comment on the unfinished business item number 1, to expand the mobile home park on Hogan Road. A few weeks ago, when the developer presented this expansion plan, the public had no way to review that plan because it wasn't included in the board packet. I spoke to the clerk at that meeting. She said they only received the presentation that morning, so she couldn't or wouldn't update the agenda. So because the information had not been made available to the public in an acceptable time frame, some trustees said they shouldn't vote on it that night. They shouldn't make a decision until the public was provided the information well in advance. Tonight is supposed to be that night that gives residents a chance to understand and speak up, which is exactly how it's supposed to work. So why is there no presentation in the meeting packet tonight? I just saw Pam glance at me. She looks back down again because I asked her specifically today. She has the presentation. Why wasn't it put in the agenda? I received no response. I think I know why. In fact, I believe that if someone else emailed them this question, they might have received an answer. So please stay tuned for my second comment this evening because I'll be revealing why I believe that I don't get any answers on these things. Back to the meeting a few weeks ago, Jennifer Eden gave a speech about how bad this expansion would be. She even stated that no one was going to change her mind if they delayed the vote. That might have sounded reassuring at the time, but to me it was concerning. When an elected official says they're unwilling to be influenced by resident input, that tells me public comment is being treated as a formality, not something that actually matters. Now, since then I've heard rumors that some board members are reconsidering their position on the expansion. possibly based on how the area is shown on a future land use map in the master plan. But if that's true, I would ask those board members to be honest about their shift and explain it to the residents. What do they know now that they didn't know at the last meeting? Who's influencing them to change their minds? As I recall, everyone expressed a desire to vote against this expansion. And also, I'd like to ask about agenda item number 2 under new business. What exactly is being discussed? It says review master plan regarding traffic issues. It's vague. There's no documents. Why couldn't you have referred to the specific paragraphs in the master plan? Why the mystery? Are we talking about a specific development, a road study, Hogan Road, gravel pits, residents being assaulted? What are we talking about? How is the public supposed to meaningfully comment when we're given no detail until the discussion has already happened? You can turn it off.
Yes, Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. The Livingston County report I'm going to make a comment on, and I will agree, we need to get our sheriff up here to answer his questions, our citizens' questions, and because we are contracting them to do a job for us. So let's get our sheriff up here to answer our questions. We can get him to a meeting. In regards to the manufactured home park, lived out here most of my life. Family's been out here since the 50s. They put these darn things in, they were supposed to be affordable living. I know plenty of people been in and out of there. And what that lady just came up here and told us is a fraction of what they're doing. I know a few years ago we gave them the ability to rent these things out instead of renting the parcel out, and they purchased, we gave them the right to rent those out. And I'm going to suggest in the future that we pull that. That when these people move out, they have to remove that trailer, rent the lot, and let people bring their new ones in. This is disgusting. The way they treat those people there, I know. I've had firsthand knowledge. I've been on the phone with them from a family member. They were locked out of, the locks were changed, and they were locked out of the house. Family member. I was on, should have sued him. Had a perfectly good lawsuit. But it's got to change over there. We have a responsibility that these two manufactured home parks are in our township. Even those people don't pay directly taxes, it's included in their rent. So they initially are paying taxes. So I think we should look out for them to a certain extent. I mean, I do care about them. I care about everybody. And it's got to stop. And I don't know anybody where you live where a kid will drop their bicycle in the yard. Kids drop stuff everywhere, and then you get a fine for it. There's no place for those kids to play over there. If they don't want kids, if they don't want the stuff, make it a retirement villa or something. But I don't know, I look at it this way, I see what's gone on in the years. I almost think, I'd love to see them just get thrown out and have to be forced to sell to somebody that is a little bit more compassionate in what they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, Jim?
With the Livingston County Sheriff thing, I think Dean brought up a good question, because I question and I asked the two policemen last week afterward, are you guys getting paid overtime tonight? They said no. They're on duty regardless. So my question, and there may be an answer to it. Can you not hear me?
No,
Oh.
I can't.
Well,
My question is, if I'm already paying taxes to Livingston County to pay for police, right? They were going to be on duty somewhere that night, just like they are tonight. So they're already being paid. So my question is, to pay Livingston County more of my money for police that are already being paid. Where does that money go? Wait, they're already paid for. So what is that money needed for to pay policemen that are already being paid? And there may be an answer to that. I don't know how these contracts work. But at the very least, it's worth looking into. Because I don't care to pay twice. And that was Dean's point last time. It's a perfectly valid point. I know a lot of people got mad about it. But we all question when we go to the store. We check our receipt, make sure we're not getting screwed. That's all it is. It's just a question. And I would expect a little bit of diligence, making sure that we're not getting double charged for something. And trust me, if the police weren't getting paid, I'd pay them myself because I love them, but they're not getting that money. Somebody is double dipping, it seems to me, so I would appreciate that getting looked into.
Greg,
All right, thanks, Jim. Yeah.
last week I talked with Sheriff Murphy. He's willing to come up here and answer the question, or make, where everything's going. I think that will answer a lot of questions if you invite him to come up.
I got a note to do that.
All right, he will come.
I know.
Okay.
I've talked to him. He will
All right.
come. So we'll put him on agenda here to answer those questions. Anybody else? All right. We will move into the unfinished business and Tyrone Woods. I believe you guys have a short presentation, different than the one last time, yeah?
Good evening. I'm Alan Green. I'm an attorney, which is why I'm dressed like this. So, in any case, I've been working with the ownership of Tyrone Woods, particularly with respect to some of the things we've been doing on the expansion, including we're dealing with sewer and water and traffic reports and things like that. But in the meantime, after the last meeting, I was asked to take a look at the extensive consent judgments and consent orders regarding this project, none of which I had anything to do with, so I can't take any responsibility for that. And I wanted to explain what this expansion is doing and why it was already essentially approved by the township in the past. So you've seen, I don't know, Pam, do you control the slides?
Yep.
Oh, can you like go to the next one, I suppose? Yeah, you can't, unfortunately, it's hard to read, right? It's,
There it is.
No.
Right there.
yeah, nothing's hidden in there.
Hit that bottom. Hit down here. It's like slideshow or something. Back that out of there. Sit up here for a second. It's, okay, right there, yep. I think that's slideshow, hit that. There you go.
Ah.
You can just scroll up or down one at a time.
Okay, now we can go forward. I'm going to cover a couple of these things really quickly. Some of this you've seen before. This just indicates the ownership and that the property was originally developed in 1999. It is a family-run operation. Two of the owners are here. I am not here to speak about the issues that a couple of the residents just raised, and they could talk to ownership about that. But we have over 300 occupied sites, and the vast majority now are owner-occupied homes. The demand is extensive in this area as any other area for attainable housing, and you probably all know that. We're not building enough stick-built homes. It's too expensive. Prices are high, labor's high, and manufactured homes are an option for many people, and we're talking about working people. Everybody that lives here is typically either they're retired or they have a job, and the demand is extensive right now, which is why we're coming in for this expansion. If you want to move forward to the next slide, I could just do a few details. So the current project is 403 home sites on 88 acres. It has public sewer through the county. It has its own on-site water system and 2 entrances, I believe, on Hogan Road. The management is by the family's management company. If we can go to the next one. So here's the proposed expansion. It's a total of 291 home sites on 66 acres. I'll divide the property into sort of 2 pieces. There's what we call the 50-acre parcel and the 20-acre parcel. The 50-acre parcel has always been owned by the same ownership, and it's always been a part of the property. The 20-acre parcel was also owned originally, and you know this, I'm sure, as well as I do, that it was deeded to the township some time ago for the township's development of a sewer plant. If the township didn't do a sewer plant, there was a process in these various consent agreements where it would be reconveyed back to the property owners. And that happened. It was reconveyed back in one of the consent judgment amendments that I'm not really going to go over that in detail. But that's the project right there. I'll say that there's intentionally more open space in this part, this expansion than any of the other parts of the project. It has, it's going to have pathways, gazebos, nature areas, which the others doesn't really have. The sizes of the lots or the units are bigger than the existing ones. It's not going to be as dense or feeling like that. So I'll tell you what the difference is in a moment. And if we can move forward. This is the zoning. It's either the manufactured home park or the rest of the property is zoned farming residential. And the next slide, please. This is the future land use map. So this is where I separate the 50 acres from the 20 acres. The 50 acres is master plan for mobile homes. And that's because the consent order that I'll talk about in a minute actually authorized that and approved mobile homes on that property. The 20 acres is master plan public, quasi-public, which really reflects the fact that it was owned by the township at one point, and it's never been remaster planned for anything else, which it should be because it's now privately held, so that's not really appropriate. But that's what it is today. If we can go further. So the expansion is going to continue to connect to the county sewer. We're expanding and upgrading the water system. We're currently evaluating that. Our engineers are evaluating sewer, water, storm drainage. We have traffic consultants who have already done a preliminary traffic report, and they're working on finalizing it, and we will share all that information with the township. That's Fleece and Vanderbrink, who's a well-known traffic engineer out in this area and other metro areas in the Detroit area. We're going to have some community amenities. We haven't quite figured that out exactly yet. We'll do that in final site planning, but we have enough open space to do it. And maybe that's, I heard this issue about playgrounds. I don't know anything about what we're going to plan in there, but that's certainly something that could be discussed. But that's what's happening right now out there. And as I said, we've got Atwell, Mr. Anderson here, his firm is already in the process of completing a wetland study to see if there are any regulated wetlands on this property. We've had a traffic study already undertaken, and we're getting a report soon on that. And we're looking at utilities. So all that's going on that's required by us in the state for doing this project. If we can go to the next one. So here's what I looked at, and this is what I wanted to bring to your attention. I went through the various consent orders. It's a little bit confusing, the way this project was developed in the courts. And I'm sure your attorneys looked at the same thing. There are various pieces over time. It was never amended and restated. You just kept on amending it, adding things, taking things away. But the one thing that's absolutely clear, the key document here, which I've attached, is the second consent amendment, okay? Paragraph 11 of that, which has got a variety of subparts, identifies the 50 acres and says that This is an authorized expansion for 247 units, okay, on the 50 acres. It recites the fact that the land, this 50 acres is isolated from other property. Its only access is through the mobile home park, existing mobile home park. And it's, abutting the mobile home park, so further mobile home park development is an appropriate use. Okay, there are other provisions in there. I didn't really recite all those, but the provisions actually indicate that the township has already approved a preliminary plan. The preliminary plan is attached to that document. There's really two preliminary plans. There's one if the, if this, there was a sewer area that was part of this property originally before it went to the county. There's one plan that shows if the sewer area still has, still operational, and then there's another plan that shows if that area is cleaned up and then can be used as part of the 50 acres. So the 247 units, they're smaller units than what we're proposing. We're actually showing less units on the 50 acres than what that plan shows. So the consent judgment says 247 units, preliminary plan approved, which means that the township's done. Under the Manufactured Home Commission Act, the township is to look at a preliminary plan and determine if that plan's okay, and then everything else goes to the county, the state, the Mobile Home Commission, now called Manufactured Home Commission, for all the final engineering, site design approvals and everything. So, and it says that in the consent judgment. It says we're obligated to go forward and do all the approvals required by the state agencies and county agencies in the Mobile Home Commission Act. It indicates that the township was enjoined from interfering with that development, and the parties would cooperate together in terms of that 50 acres. It also indicates, trying to think of what else. Oh, there was a time period too. You couldn't do it right away. They had to wait a few years, and that time period's long expired. So essentially, 50 acres already approved by the township in a consent order. I've looked at every one of the consent amendments since then, and nothing has changed that. There's the next one after that said, only the things that are specifically amended or changed in that subsequent order change this second amendment. In other words, the second amendment is the main document that governs everything. There were some amendments thereafter. They typically one dealt with the lease arrangement on the sewer system at the time, and it also talked about getting, reconveying the property back to the developer. It talked about who's responsible for paying what under those circumstances. There's amendments that changed the sewer payments that were required to be made. In the early days of the consent judgment, there were some what I would call fixed favorable prices for sewer service. That all changed, and I think it brought back to whatever the market was. So there's lots of changes like that, but nothing changed what's happening to this property in this expansion area. So that's really what we can do. I mean, I think the developer's allowed to specifically go forward and build 247 manufactured housing units in accordance to that plan or something like that plan, and would have a right to do that. And can go forth with the state and do the process. They're doing something a little bit different because we're including the 19 acres. So if we could go to the next slide. So the 19 acres, again, we talked about this. It was deeded to the township for the sewer plant. The township didn't build the sewer plant. It was reconveyed by the township to the owner. That was one of the amendments to the consent judgment that talked about the details of that. Everybody, indemnified each other, waived whatever rights. There's just a bunch of legal things in there that dealt with that. But I will say this. I mean, I'm being honest in the regard to, I'm only reading what other people did. There is nothing in the consent judgment specifically as to now what happens to the 20 acres, okay? Doesn't say what you could do with it or not do with it. The 20 acres is in a similar position as the 50 acres, has the same conditions of the 50 acres. The only access to that property is through the existing park. You know, you're not gonna be able to use it for anything else. It's surrounded on two sides by the existing park. So what we wanted to do, and what the plan proposes, is to combine the two, the 20 and 50, it's total 66 acres actually. And we've done a plan that reduces the intensity per acre of the original plan. Like the 247, they're smaller lots. They're like 88 feet deep compared to 110 that we're putting on the plan that we have here. They're a little bit narrower, so we're making bigger lots. We're creating more open space by using the two. We are getting more lots overall, but they're going to be better lots. So, you know, that's what we're proposing to do. And we've given you a preliminary plan. So what are the options for the township? I mean, you have choices. I'm not going to, and if we want to go to the next one, I sort of laid it out because it's pretty basic. The next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm there. I guess I can't see that well. So what you have is a revised plan for the expansion. And you can approve the revised plan for the expansion. That is the board's, you know, right, or to do it or not to do it. That is a preliminary plan, and by approving that plan, then we would be able to then go forward and then do all the other things, the final engineering, the final design. And again, I'm saying that we would cooperate and work with the township in terms of giving you information. I don't know that we're obligated to do it or not, but we're a citizen here, we're a big property owner. So we will give you the traffic reports. If the traffic reports show that the traffic improvements need to be made out there to accommodate this, that the road commission would require us to do, we'd have to do it because we're going to need to get that approval. And we'll give you the reports on wetlands, if anything. We don't plan on affecting any regulated wetlands on the property. And to do that, you don't need a consent judgment amendment. You could approve the plan. I mean, you have a right to do that. It's property that's at the moment, it's master plan for public use. And so that would be your choice. That's one option. If you don't want to do that, you know, our option at that point is that we could go back and just proceed with the 247 unit plan on the 50 acres, because that's approved. I mean, that's in the consent judgment. It's attached as a plan in the consent judgment. We would prefer to do something better. We'd prefer to use all the land, but that's an option for us. So those are, and then it leaves open, what are we going to do with the 20 acres in the future? And that, you know, I guess we either resolve that or it's another one of the future disputes that you guys have. I don't know. It seems like, I'm not here to criticize per se, but it just seems like every step of the way you were always going back and doing consent judgments, consent judgment amendments. That's not terribly unusual with mobile home parks, as much as, you know, they're a good option, and there are parks throughout the state of Michigan, including large parks like this. Generally, they're always controversial. I've been doing this for 40 years. I mean, I don't think I've ever gone to a public meeting where there wasn't opposition to a mobile home park, either a new one or expanded one. Expanded ones are easier because it's already there. You know, it's already operational. All the utilities are there. It's much better to allow expansions of existing parks than to try to get new parks approved, because it's already there and people live with it, and they're fine. I mean, so I guess I'm just trying to say those are really the two options. We're respectfully asking the board to consider approving this revised preliminary plan, which does contain more units than the one that's already approved. It goes from 247 to 291 in total, but on a much bigger acreage parcel with more open space, larger lot size, and it'll be nice. So, and then again, the other option is, you know, if you don't want us to do that, we can't compel you to do that. We would we would go and have to deal with the 247 units on 50 acres and leave aside whether we amend the consent judgment in the future to deal with the 19 acres. You could do it. There was a question of whether you guys were going to amend the consent judgment. I don't believe, you don't have to amend the consent judgment to approve this preliminary plan. That's your decision. It could be incorporated in an amendment to the consent judgment if that's what the township wanted to do in terms of, what might be the conditions of that approval. But it's really all I had to say. And certainly have two of the owners here, have our engineer here, who's very familiar with the property, can answer any questions you might have. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question for you. You said how many are currently filled?
In the current park, there's over 300 right now.
So that means you have over 100 that aren't.
They're
403 home sites.
licensed, yeah. We have 403 licensed, and part of it was the most recent expansion is, when did you do this?
So they only have like.
You just did one, right?
Yeah, 100 unit, 100 lots, yeah.
There's 110, there's
73 houses have been put on.
So you still got lots that you haven't even put houses on yet.
No, not that many, actually.
But you still have ones you
Have
haven't
some.
developed yet.
But they're going really quick. It's gonna take, it's gonna take a good year or more to get the
I'm just
approvals
looking at, you
needed.
said there's a great need for this.
There is, yeah.
But yet, you've got some that aren't filled, and you've got lots that you haven't even started yet.
No,
Hey, Dean, we show what, 40 empty?
37.
37
Yeah, they've
Empty
been,
homes or empty lots?
empty lots.
they've been kicking, I guess, I'd like to say kicking butt in terms of the demand has been great. They've been filling, you put the whole thing out there, 100 lots, and they've been filling it up very fast. They're gonna fill it up before this is ready, because it's gonna take a year. We gotta go through all the design, final design, we gotta go through the state, we gotta go through get the permits, we gotta go through the county on the roads, we gotta deal with the utilities, make sure, we're doing studies on the wells to make sure they're adequate, and we might have to improve those or not. It depends on what the engineers tell us, whatever the engineers tell us to do. So by the time this thing gets developed, after the approvals, then we gotta develop it, obviously put in the infrastructure and the roads and whatever other improvements, we'll be full. That's.
Did you say when you thought the studies would be complete and ready for the board? Traffic study, wetlands?
Traffic study is, we have a draft. I've seen a draft. It's being finalized right now. It's actually, I could tell you, you could believe me or not, but I could tell you that the traffic impact is not significant or material according to the traffic engineers. Yeah, but there are, there are traffic issues out there, but not for this park and right there. And whatever the traffic engineers, they do make some recommendations about what they say should be done, which would improve the traffic situation, beyond what it is today, make it better than if nothing else got developed. We would do that. We're going to have to do that. But that's controlled by the road commission. I'm
So
sorry.
in your plans, I don't see another road that you're planning on putting in?
No, we're not going to put in another curb cut, in other
So
words.
you have 403 homes you can build out. You're proposing another 291.
Yes.
And so at 694 times at least 2 vehicles per lot, so that's 1,388. And you think 1,388 people can go in and out of 2 driveways?
I'm not the one to think that. I'm not the traffic engineer. I'm only telling you what the traffic engineers say, and they're very experienced.
Right. I just have one more thing.
Yeah.
I don't agree with your interpretation of the consent
Consent
judgments, excuse me. I know there's a lot of them, there's 9, so.
9 total, correct.
But my interpretation of
I've read
them
them
are
all.
not what you're saying.
Oh, well, I guess we can all have our interpretations.
That's right.
Yeah. And you currently have 403 REUs?
Yes.
I assume so.
So
Yeah.
purchasing of an REU would be 14,500 each.
Whatever it is, it is. I don't,
Have you contacted anybody about utilities yet, as far as gas and power?
did you hear that? Utilities?
He's not speaking.
Dry utilities, we haven't evaluated the need for those upgrades yet. We're in the process of looking at all the utilities. So,
All right, I don't have anything else. Anybody else have anything?
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the information.
I think we should wait till we get the studies before we make any type of
Yeah.
decisions.
You're right.
I did have one
See the
other,
studies.
one other
Yep.
quick
Yes,
question.
yes.
Do you-
Sure.
And I know you don't have the answer to this because you don't know the study results, but I'm curious to know whether the study takes into consideration the gravel train traffic on the same road that's shared by the current park.
Honestly, I looked at the study, but I didn't look at it in that kind of detail to know what, I mean, I assume they considered everything, and they went out and did traffic counts, and they look at current conditions, they look at future conditions, separate from our development, new development, like what would be the increased traffic that they would project from potential other developments or just increased traffic, and then they add our development onto it. And they look at various intersections as well as just the entrances and exits to the development. I know what they do.
I'll be very interested to see
Yeah,
how adding so many cars intermixing with the heavy gravel train traffic that's already there,
yeah.
how that would impact safety of those vehicles and the residents of that park.
They look at,
I'll be interested in
Okay.
seeing that study. You don't have to try to guess or assume.
no, I'm just, I'm being honest that I didn't read it in
Right.
that kind of detail. I look at what they did and I look at their bottom line. I mean, what do they conclude? What do they conclude about they rate every interchange and they rate it as to whether it meets or doesn't meet, certain traffic conditions, and what do they recommend? That's what I look at. I don't look at all
Yeah.
of them.
We'll look forward to
Yeah.
analyzing that. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
all right, Alan?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
think the board still has a few questions that we're going to be working on here.
okay, thank
All right? All right, we will move into the new business portion. Planning Commission's request for board input on the regulatory ordinance aspects of the medical marijuana regulations. All right, yes, I'm looking for feedback from each of you. I'm sure you looked at McKenna and their input here on the regulatory portion of it.
I think the approach involving the two ordinances is a good idea. The first one is to ensure the zoning ordinance, right? And then the second one is to obtain a license that they would have to do and renew annually.
Yes.
So that
yes.
way we can make sure everything's up to snuff on each year. And if not, they don't get renewed and therefore can't operate.
So after reviewing this from McKenna, is there anything else that any of you want the planning and zoning commission to look at?
I believe that if I may, Greg,
Yes.
I believe that the Planning Commission was looking to try to develop both the ordinance, the zoning ordinance, and the regulatory aspects. The regulatory aspects, of course, being for the board to manage, and the zoning being that need to come out of the Planning Commission. They were trying to leverage, they were requesting to leverage doing both of those and making a recommendation on the regulatory, but the I wouldn't want to do that in complete absence of this board working with McKenna on the regulatory side directly. I think it's fine to have them look at that, at the regulatory aspects, and make some recommendations from the Planning Commission. But the licensing regulation, we would have to establish a licensing capability at the township and ensure that we have the right mechanisms in place, processes, staffing. We're not talking about, 20 of these things a day. We're not talking about needing a whole team of people, but that's an extra element that we don't currently have as far as licensing permits are concerned. And so I just think I would not want to assign the development of the licensing regulatory ordinance to the Planning Commission wholly. I would want to make sure that we're involved in that somehow, explicitly.
And do you think having Mario, the McKenna engineer, come to a board meeting and?
Absolutely, yeah, he should bring, he's already made McKenna's already made some recommendations around the licensing and regulatory aspect that I would love to see him come and present to us what those are, get that, published in our meeting packet and things of that nature, and be able to handle it that way.
I think we could send him, regards to time-wise and paying him to come here,
Right.
I think we could send him an email asking with our concerns, but I think this was just them asking if the board would entertain it, an idea of having the two versus the one,
Yeah.
just so they're not wasting time and effort in going down
Oh,
that road.
Yeah, I definitely think we
Absolutely.
want both, yes,
I like this.
definitely. And I think we can get our questions to McKenna to help him help the Planning Commission.
I don't know why we wouldn't have that at a near future board meeting discussion, though, and not just answering them in emails and things, right? I mean,
Yep.
I'd prefer to see that.
Even if we get them via Zoom, or,
Yeah, we could do
Yeah.
that too.
Absolutely.
That would be quicker, probably a little easier. If we could do
Easier
that.
for everyone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
timing wise.
Right, then we're not going back and forth 3 and 4 days with, understanding and asking additional, and we can hopefully get it done with one session.
All right, I will reach out to McKenna and see about getting that put together on an agenda item.
But you are all right, you're correct in saying that the first step is do we want to entertain a licensing regulatory capability? If we don't, we can make that decision and not
I like the two-part.
not waste anybody's time. But certainly that's the first decision point, is whether we want to do that. I personally think it's good myself.
I agree.
So we need a motion to,
I'll make a
give
motion
them-
to approve the Planning Commission's request for board input on regulatory ordinance aspects of MMMA regulations.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? All right.
I'm really happy to see this moving forward, Greg.
Yeah,
thank the
yeah.
planning commission. They're doing a good job. This is good from what I'm reading.
Yeah, McKenna and
Yeah, they've
and
done a nice
Ross-
job.
McKenna and Ross have really, yeah.
Yeah, they've done it,
I'm happy with you.
yeah.
So, all right, moving on to item number 2, a request for planning commission to review the master plan regarding traffic issues west of US 23.
A little more information.
Yeah, I don't think I can make a decision
I mean,
until we know
yeah.
what's more in here.
Well,
There's nothing,
Are we talking specific areas or just in general or?
It is in some specific areas due to residents
Requests,
and
okay.
requests.
All right,
And it isn't, it is in specific areas for them to investigate. So,
and believe me, I've been from day one the biggest proponent of revisiting the master plan. But if we're going to revisit the master plan, I would also be an advocate to look at some other areas as well.
Well, we're gonna,
Just because I don't know what else is
Yeah.
involved in this, you know.
we want to stay focused on the traffic issues, and then we can expand on it once we get baby steps. So,
Do we have to make a motion?
can I get a motion
Yep, okay.
to have the planning commission
I'm
look into
I'm
this?
still confused as to, I mean, is this just something we can't discuss here? Is that what this is
we can't
about?
specify the areas or we don't want to at this point?
We don't want to at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, west of,
I mean, they will come
west of US 23 in Tyrone Township.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. It's general for a reason, so.
All right.
But it will be
So this
defined.
could turn into multiple studies, is that what you're telling me?
Possible,
Okay,
but they'll be
Yes.
brought before the board,
all right.
obviously. So I'll entertain a motion to have the planning commission review our master plan regarding traffic issues west of US 23.
So moved.
I got a second?
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Me?
Motion carries. All right, moving on to,
And by the way, I'm only voting no. You do have a right to know. I'm voting no because I don't have enough information.
I
So it's not
gathered
because
that.
I oppose whatever the hidden information is. It's just that I don't have enough information to vote yes on approving that, so.
I gathered that, Chris, thank you. Item number 3, Lake Tyrone display fireworks permit application.
If I may. June 28th, they're requesting that as a date of their display with a rain date of June 29th. According to State of Michigan firework law, they have dates and guidelines that must be followed, and it's June 29th to July 4th. If the board approves this, we have to ask them to move their date. It cannot be on the 28th. Or we have them amend it and send it back to us, whichever. But they have to give us a different date, because June 28th is not going to work.
So
We
they
didn't,
got.
I realized this today, and we
Yeah.
had no contact information for them, or I didn't, rather.
I think we can make it a motion with it contingent on the date that
Change.
falls within the Michigan law.
We can do that.
Yeah, I think that's
We
a
can
good
do
idea.
that.
And that they have to supply us with that
Yes.
change,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they have to fix their permit to
Yep.
match
Yes.
the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to put a time frame on when they get back to us on that?
Well, they don't have
They'll
too much.
get.
Well, I know,
Don't have a lot of
but I'm just,
There shouldn't be a problem with getting it back to us
I
within a
don't-
week.
Yeah,
Give
I
them- give
don't,
them-
I don't,
or at least
5
until
business
the next
days.
board meeting or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would gather they would get on it
Yeah, they will, absolutely.
if they want to
We'll
have their,
contact them tomorrow,
Yeah,
and they'll be
within
responding.
5 business, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, are we gonna require them to refill the whole thing out, or just date change?
Just a date change.
Just a date change?
Just a date
Okay.
change.
just a correction to the
Correction of
existing,
the date, all right,
Yeah.
the existing application.
yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the Lake Tyrone display fireworks permit application contingent on a date that falls within the Michigan law.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Miscellaneous business.
Truck routes,
I do have a Hogan Road update. I have been in contact with the Deerfield Township Supervisor, who has also made contact with the owner-operator of GBM, and we are setting up a meeting with the Road Commission to investigate alternative routes. So, can't really go much farther, but progress, Hogan Road residents. Progress. I don't have anything else on that at the moment. Anybody got anything? Anyone?
will we be entertaining the rest of the truck routes discussion, ordinance 38B, at some point?
I have not talked to the road commission about that yet.
Okay.
And, but that is on my radar.
And I know Hogan Road is one of the truck routes in 38B, but I don't want people to think that that's the only
Correct.
issue that we have in front
It's
of us. We have
It's not.
that whole ordinance, all
It's
the
not.
truck routes need to be reassessed. Okay.
Are you gonna be on the phone with them tomorrow? If you are, can you mention our roads are getting kinda beat up? We'd like to see a greater maybe.
Are you talking about Walnut Sugar?
Oh, that might be one of them. But several of them, yeah.
I was really lucky the last time Walnut Shores resident called me to have it graded, and I called the road commission, and he said, I got a crew there right now. I'm like, wow. So I called the resident back, and she goes, man, you worked magic. I'm like, no, I got lucky.
Work that magic one more time, will you?
No, I got lucky, but wow, it was, anyway. Any other miscellaneous business? All right, we will move to the final public remarks. Yes, Tim? Or Ted? You answered to both, Ted. Sorry, Ted.
Ted Mercer, Hogan Road. First thing I wanted to do is just thank the board for all the work that's going into this. Like I say, we know what's happening and we know there's a lot of things going on, so we wanted to, my wife and I, particularly my neighbors. But I did want to make an observation in regards to Tyrone Woods. I think that a lot of you are informed about how much traffic there really is on that road. You have a couple of aces in your pocket as far as knowing what's happening. I just found that it was amazing that they had somebody drive here from Bloomfield Hills to give you answers like, it is whatever it is. And I thought, that's your input and what you are trying to put into our township. These people, of course, do not live here. So I thought the young lady that came in and made a complaint, very brave young lady. I want to tell you that the folks that I've talked to, that is the 7th time that I've heard someone use the term horrible. 7 separate people say horrible as far as property management. So I just want to, bring those facts up. As you sit in the audience, you might catch it a little bit more. But the fact of the matter is, they act like they have no concept of what's going on around in the area. And when it came to traffic, he was dumbfounded. It wasn't even a consideration. So I think with everything that we've talked about, you know what kind of consideration it is. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Tiffany Arnold, Tyrone Woods resident. After viewing the presentation that was presented to us about our community, I have a few comments. As you've seen in the presentation, it's a family-owned operation. There was nothing for families in that presentation. There was nothing for the bus stop. He said there was no playgrounds. There was nothing for the kids to do. He said everybody was crammed in there. They can take 4 of those trailers that are not even, that don't have anybody in them and make a playground. They have trailers that have nobody in them and they want to add more. In my opinion, it's just a money grab. They just want to cram as many of us as possible into this little tiny area and do nothing for us, not fix our homes, not fix our streets. The sewers that they currently have are not functioning. They spill out all over our streets, making it very, very slippery. There's hardly any snow removal. There is no lawn maintenance. They said they're gonna have 2 entrances. What's gonna happen when they have all those children that are gonna be in the back area? They're gonna have 2 bus stops with no parking lot. Right now, it is very unsafe. All the kids walk to those bus stops that are all the way up front, so they're gonna have to come all the way from the back to go all the way to the entrance. And some of them are walking with no coats. Some of them are walking with no umbrellas. They're walking in the snow. They have nothing. We have nothing. So what's gonna happen when you said, 13,000 people are gonna be in there? 13,000 children are gonna be going to the front to go to the bus stop? There's young 5, so those 4 and 5-year-olds are gonna have to walk all the way up there to go to Head Start. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for us. Our homes aren't safe. Our roads aren't safe. And they wanna build more, and then they said they're gonna clean up that sewer system to put more homes on top of. I don't think they're gonna clean it if they can't clean what they currently have. And that is time.
Thank you, Tiff.
Thank you. Hey, Greg, can I ask Chuck a question?
Sure.
Chuck, who regulates that? Is it the county to make sure that those are safe if they're renting that out? The state? How often do they come in to inspect the Tyrone Woods? Like if you're renting a trailer there or living there, do they come in to inspect it once a year?
Mobile Home Commission, well, I don't know how often they go. Mobile Home Commission, number 1. Number 2, the county does if there is a problem that the structures are dangerous. And we use Livingston County Building Department ourselves to manage that. So you have 2 entities.
Okay. Greg, is somebody?
I think it would be more the county than the state. I talked to the mobile home person, and he said that is really a county and a township.
You've driven through there recently?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, a month ago, I guess if that's recent.
There's a gentleman in the back.
Oh, sure,
I used to do the maintenance
Yeah.
there.
you have to come up. You have to state your name and
My name is Chris Varley.
in the microphone,
I'm a
please.
contractor, building engineer, and former resident of Tyrone, and employee of Tyrone Woods. And to answer your question, they came in there.
Hang on just a second. Did you get all that, Terry?
Varley, Varley, like Chris Farley, but with a V. V as in vegetable.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. All right. Start right from the beginning again, please.
I'm a contractor, maintenance person, building engineer, resident, and former employee of Tyrone Woods. To answer the question, the city came in one time last year, and the owners cherry-picked the houses that they got to go through. There's mold in the pump house.
I'm confused. The city?
The city, county,
The county, probably the
Yeah.
county. Okay.
they came in, the owners cherry-picked the properties, so it wasn't a fair assessment. There's been issues with the draining out back. That is literally the new phase that they just built that isn't full yet, and it's already a lake back there. And I have pictures, the residents have pictures, you know, they got stories. This isn't made up, this is a nightmare. There's mold in the pump house. The water, I can't get a test returned to me to save my life, but in the water I give to my dog, there's a white ring around it within a week. Their maintenance shed has mold in it. They have had other so-called contractors, maintenance people come in doing HVAC work that aren't certified under my license number, which I personally take offense to, because it's like about $250,000 EPA fine for what they've been doing, just letting Freon out into the open, claiming that it doesn't need to be reclaimed. They don't properly do mold removal, which there is plenty. I was the first one to ever do so. There's potholes literally the size of this table. I mean, honestly, I could be here all night, but these things, you see how crass their lawyer is about the traffic. There's 400 properties just in the first two phases right now. They charge all the residents a fee for the police, which we all pay taxes, rent, whatever, like that's on them. You know, so I don't even know how that's like a more of a burden on the residents, but whatever, you know. And I mean, they have sewage that backs up and they don't have it remediated at all. They say, go open the sewer and stir it around. And then all the overflow just goes into the wetlands and the ravines and they just leave it, which is another huge EPA issue. I've been assaulted by...
Tell you what, will you call me? Will you reach out to me?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
I think he said Chris. It's Chris. I got
Chris, it's Chris.
Chris Farley.
Chris, right? Chris.
Yes,
Okay.
Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Christopher.
Yes.
Thank you.
Deborah Kidd, and I also live in Tyrone Woods.
Make sure you get to the mic, please.
I'm standing for support. She's very nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous.
We don't bite.
You just nibble, right?
Yes, that's right.
I've lived in Tyrone Woods for 8 years.
What's your name again, please?
Deborah Kidd.
Deborah Kidd, K-I-D-D?
Yes, D-E-B-R-A.
Thank you.
I've lived in there for 8 years, and they haven't done anything for us except cause conflict. I've had 3 fires in my trailer, and they refused to even fix anything. They told me that it's our job to fix it. Our furnace caught on fire. I had to call Consumers Energy to come and fix the problem. And I should have brought it with me, but I didn't. I still have the electrical plate that goes into my furnace that still has the burn marks. And Consumers Energy said that we could have died from it. We lost our wiener. We can't even drink that water. We lost our wiener dog. My son is autistic, and it's heartbreaking that drinking that water killed our dog and 2 of our bunny rabbits also because of that water. It's unsafe. They say it's safe, it's not. We've been going out and purchasing bottled water just to be able to drink. And the only thing we have been doing is bathing, and it's even causing my son to break out in hives, and he's got dry skin all over his face. And he doesn't even want to go out in public anymore. There's something wrong with that water. And they said there's nothing wrong with it. There's got to be something wrong with it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hello.
My name is Jaquez. It's going to be Jacqueus. Last name Westbrook Hall. I am a resident of Tyrone Woods too. I have been living in Tyrone Woods since 2010. And my bedroom caught on fire while I was at home. I'm glad I was there, me and my son. And they charged me to replace the faceplate on there. I still have the burn marks on my wall. Recently, they had to give me the money back because I was having issues with paying my rent, and it was something that I brought up to with the lawyers. But also at that time, I had a screen door that had to be removed because it kept hitting my son, and I am a renter. I don't own the home. And it was hitting my son in the head when he was leaving out. I told them that. Back then, we weren't putting in issues that we had online, which now we have to do, and they are not coming in and fixing your homes. It's hard for it to attach and send to them. I have recorded telephone calls with them because the person that I speak with, she's very rude. And I still don't have a screen door. I have shown the owners, well, the people that work in the office, that there is water getting in my home through my front door. They keep telling me to put in an order. I haven't had a screen door since 2023. And that's when my room caught on fire too. And they knew this, and they still have not given me a screen door. So they are charging us, and you get fees for everything. Parking, I've been asking for parking. I have tried to purchase the home quite a few times, but I've always backed out because there's issues. So it's very hard. And then you can't find anywhere to go, you know, and I have a family, so.
How do you spell your last name?
Westbrook, and then it's hyphenated Hall. So it's WESTBROOK, and then hyphen Hall, HALL.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jim.
So I just jotted down a few things. I can't speak for their conditions over there, all these people, I have no idea, but, you know, if I were a landlord, I can tell you, I would be a good landlord. Because I believe you do unto others as you would want them to do to you. And I'm a people watcher. I learn a lot about people by watching them, and I find it interesting, these people back here, it's worth their time to come, and they're not being paid, right? So something is worth their time to show up here to explain to you guys what they go through. And I find it very enlightening that I was hoping these people would stick around. They have a chance to respond to their residents, tenants, whatever they are. It ain't even worth their time to stick around. They come and give their 2 cents, they hit the road, Jack. And I find it funny how they present this. The guy did it last time. We're meeting a need, man. the demand, right? So they're about meeting needs. It sounds like they have a whole lot of needs over there that they don't want to address. I don't think they're in the business of meeting needs, other than the demand for more money in their pocket. And the guy brought up last time, this whole, we're gonna do a traffic study. Right, you said that 2 months ago, bro. Where's it at? Where are you at with that? You guys know as well as me, it's all empty words that are not gonna follow through. They're gonna do bare minimum. And to me, if you have enough people like the guy back here or these over here, maybe you go canvass that place and find out as leverage against them to just create another crap hole in our neighborhood, you know? Just my opinion. But I think it's very enlightening that they hit the road. They had every opportunity to come up here and go, hey, we're sorry, or here's why that's that way. They don't even care to explain. I guess they're too busy meeting needs tonight, wherever the heck they went, right? So.
Thank you, Jim.
In the back.
Oh, yes.
My name is Tammy Franks, and I've been a resident of Tyrone Woods since 2010. The only difference between me and them back there is I own my home. I brought it into there, not knowing what was the mischief that they were going to be pulling. When I moved in there, I had kids young. They were 2 and 4, my youngest two. And for the last 6 years, I have been asking to have driveway put in, because they want to give me fines for parking in front of my own house. Well, my kids have grown. They have licenses now. They don't want to argue. I tell them to take me to court. The water situation, haven't been able to drink it, period. I have to buy cases of bottled water for my kids and my dogs because you cannot drink the water there. It is horrible. What they are saying is true. Everything that they say, they have people in the office driving around the park 4 or 5 times a day just to look to find somebody. So all this little money that they want to put in this back area, no. They torment us. There for 1.5 years when they first took over, I was afraid to go home to my own house that I bought, I worked for, and I paid for, raising my 7 children by myself as a single mother. To have to deal with people like that. Right now, we're in the midst of trying to find an attorney to file a mass action suit against that owner to where they don't come on the property and let us residents run our own property. I've been maintaining 4 lots behind my lot for 15 years now. They've never paid a penny for my business to take care of that. Not at all. Law has 7 years. I could stake claim to that, and I've been doing it for 15. But I've not done that. I just want them to leave me alone and let me and these families live in peace. We pay enough there to do what we can do with what we've got. We don't make lots of money. They know that. They have fun kicking people out after they take $4,000 or $5,000 from them. It's not fair. People work hard for what they have, and they shouldn't have to be worried about taking it from 2 spoiled kids that got property handed to them from their daddy. Period. And I don't like to be tormented. It's lucky I haven't been arrested because I calm myself the older I got. But there's no way I will stand there and let them torment these people like they're doing. So yes, we are looking for an attorney to file a mass action suit against them. Period. And there's probably 150 to 200 names of people that would gladly go into that action suit. No hands down. And it's more about principle than it would be about money for these people. They just want to live in peace. That's what we were told. If we moved in here, we could live in peace. Now they got their renters paying for the repairs. That's why people rent, so they don't have to pay for repairs. And now they're choosing to make that pay.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Please bring back the podium. This is ridiculous. sounds like we have a slum landlord, and I fully expect this board to do something more than say thank you for your comment. Because if you guys don't do something, I have no problem helping these people organize. I will go to the media, I will go to national media, I will do what I need to do. And it doesn't sound like we have a bunch of people in Tyrone Township that are knocking at their door to go find a place to rent there. They're bringing them in from other places. They're not meeting a need here. We've already fulfilled that need by putting in mobile home parks. So something needs to be done. And I hope that this board will step up and stand up for people that are hurting. My goodness, in this township, this day, they can't drink their water? That we as residents need to help these people. And the board needs to lead that charge. So do something, figure out something, because I will gladly donate and help to that. And I know other people will. But you guys are the leadership, you need to do something. I'm probably not going to get to finish what I wanted to say today, but I will quickly say that I did send an email to the board earlier today because I was copied by mistake, right? Was copied by mistake, and basically the message was, should we continue to ignore Jeanette, right? Okay, so I'm wanting a public apology and an explanation for that, but what I want to know is, who told you all to ignore me? Are you getting that advice from the attorney? I've raised legitimate concerns about many things. I followed the process. I respectfully submitted complaints regarding Pam and regarding Herman Ferguson. And those are legitimate complaints, and I was ignored, and someone's telling you to ignore me. Unanswered emails, misquoted public comments, missing meeting materials tonight. What you put up there again was new information that the public didn't get a chance to look at. Pam ignores my email today asking where that information is. So that phrase, continuing to ignore. Am I the only resident who gets ignored like this, or are there others? And how exactly do you decide which voices don't deserve a response? I have one more thing to say, and I think what you should do is go listen to the Planning Commission meeting last week. But basically, Sarah Dahlman Jersey, she went after a resident telling them not to post things, and then a couple days later, this person's attorney gets a letter from our attorney intimidating this person, telling them that they don't have a right to say something. So go listen to the details on that, and I have all the screenshots. What did that cost us?
Hang on,
What?
you are correct.
I did what?
I did ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I can't, there's nothing I can do with the complaints.
Why does the township
This-
have a complaint process?
Let me finish.
Okay.
These are elected officials. All equal. We're all equal on this board. You file a complaint, okay, I've got your complaints, they're right here. I've had them for 3 weeks.
Yes, you have.
What can I do with them?
Okay, you know what, Greg?
What can I do with them?
Oh.
Here's what you can do, Jeanette.
If you're gonna ask me that question,
You
let
can
me
file
respond.
a recall,
No.
or, let me finish, or you can vote for someone else in 3.5 years. I don't know what else to tell you.
So, but now you wait till public meeting to tell me this? Why is there a complaint form? Are you
Jeanette,
telling me?
you know my door is open.
I sent you an email with a formal, there's a process on your website that says how to file a complaint, is there not?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you did.
So I followed the process.
And you did.
Yes, I did.
Okay, end of story.
No, it's not the end of the story, Greg, because you know what? Next step is Attorney General.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. Is it?
All right, go ahead, Scott.
No?
All right, now we got done with the toxicity. Let's once again.
Stop.
Um,
And you stop too. Be
Man,
respectful.
I can-
Be respectful, Scott.
I'm trying to be.
Okay.
I'm not gonna listen to it now and make a comment. Okay, anyways, the manufactured home park, once again. 300 more homes? Almost 300. No, 300 more homes, 290 something?
Oh, 291.
Okay, coming through those streets. I mean, come on. No alternative roads. There's just no way. I mean, that's not designed for that many homes in the rear to come through. And she beat me to it, the young girl that come up, she's good. They need to make their own little association. Yes, these kids are gonna walk all the way from the back up to the road. There's no place, like she said, there's no place for the cars to park. They're gonna fine them for parking up there. You're gonna park on the road so the gravel trains can run over their kids, waiting for the bus. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's just too many. And like I said, the comment I made to you earlier, when they broke into my family member's home, they didn't go to a judge first. They should have been sued. They apologized and came and locked the door real quick. Had a good call. No, I just moved his ass out of there as my son. I moved his ass out. But anyways, that was many years ago. How many of those homes on these lots are gonna be rental homes? They're just, the biggest mistake we made, I made a comment when we did this, with the one up here and the one over here, is we allowed them to bring homes in and rent them out. These people are trapped. They're low-income people, and they're trapped. They have nowhere to go. And for them to charge them for repairs, I can see if they broke a window, they're responsible or something, but if a fire breaks out, and there's certain things they probably should be responsible for. I don't know what the legalities are to that, but there's a lot of things, like the roof being rotten, holes in the roof, that's maintenance. I mean, I don't know, the state, there's gotta be a state agency that, regulates this. I mean, they force us to bring these in. There's gotta be some sort of regulatory agency to deal with this. If not, they better get a hold of an attorney, because I do think they got a hell of a case. And if we let this thing get any bigger, it's gonna be this biggest mistake of everybody's life. We shouldn't even let that one get bigger as far as I was concerned.
Anybody else?
Greg, I'd like to say something. If we have a complaint program in our system, I think we owe the residents at least the respect of an acknowledgement. Even if it's nothing more than, I'm sorry, that shouldn't have happened, or, yep, I understand, there's nothing I can do about it. But I believe if we have a complaint form out there, we should at least acknowledge to the resident that we've received it and we understand. In the future.
I think that's,
Okay? That's just out of
that's a
respect.
fair. I think that's a fair statement.
And we should add it to the agenda to discuss why we don't have a process of dealing with complaints. Why don't we have after it's received? I think it's important for any resident here, any of them, that come here. If there's a complaint, we should have a process that says more than, what do I do about it?
Yeah.
So hopefully we can add that to the agenda soon.
Okay, I guess, no more comments. I will move to adjourn.
So moved.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice to have that presentation. I wish we'd have that presentation sooner. Did we just get it?
based on his statements, be able to read.
Hey, we got,
What I'm just saying, yeah.
Just so you know.
You know, he's claiming that, and, you know, it does state that, but I'm sure there's something to clarify that, or to substantiate further. Because if that would have been the case, then why wouldn't it immediately rezone? Just questions, it's all questions.